Hi everyone, Mr. Silbaugh here, and this is the recording for day 7 of Module 1, Markup Language and Site Development Essentials. Alright, in the last class we talked about validation for accessibility concerns. So remember, validation is the process of checking your code for any errors or mistakes, and a validator can help you check for issues regarding accessibility as well. And we also talked about colorblindness and how it plays an impact on web design. So in our discussion about accessibility, you know that it's been a big recurring theme here in this unit. We've talked about the standards, we've talked about the laws, and we've even talked about how to validate your code for accessibility issues. Now let's talk about how you actually address your accessibility issues and go through some of the things that you can do for your website in order to make it more accessible for multiple people. So the first we'll talk about is visual impairments. These are people who either cannot see at all or have limited vision or can only see certain things. It might be colorblind, anything regarding vision, and they can't see normally. First thing that you can do is text readability. Make sure that you make fonts the correct sizes. So that's very helpful if you have a big title at the top. Make sure it's nice and big and easy to read, and then make sure that your font follows the same so that your fonts are all like appropriately sized. We'll talk about how to do size in the next unit for text, but you want to make sure they're nicely sized, and you don't want to make them too small. Okay. Anyone should be able to access your website and be able to read what's on it without having to enhance it. Now, if they do need to enhance it, that's okay, because some people really do need much bigger print. Next is text support for images. And so what this is that your images are described in the code, in the HTML code, using what's called the alternative text. What this is, is that if they use a text-only web browser, and you'll find out text-only today, if they use a text-only web browser, they can still see the image just by reading the text, okay? With that in mind, you want to make sure you describe your images on your web pages, and we'll talk about that later on in the units. Next is screen reader support. A screen reader, what it does is it will read the elements on the page. Very helpful for people who have visual impairments because they can move their mouse and it will read it to them. Okay. All pages and elements can be read by audio screen readers. So what this is saying is if you have a video, if you have pictures, anything of that nature, you still have it accessible to them through text. Okay. The screen reader will only read text. So if you have an image with no description, you need to make sure that you fix that so it does have a description. Next is audio impairments. So this is for people who either can't hear at all, who are deaf, or people who have issues with their ears. They might be deaf in one ear, or they might have limited hearing in one ear. Anything regarding and impacting the hearing. So for this, you can use alternative audio support, such as a text equivalent. If you have like an audio content, you can use text to describe it. You'd provide a transcript. You have alternative speech input. So keyboard entry is available. So if you have require them to speak, like let's say like Google Translate, perfect example, because you can talk to Google Translate and it will do it for you. Same thing here. If you have a requirement for them to say something, you can allow them to type it instead. And then lastly, text support for audio. Audio elements are marked with alternative text. So if you have an audio, like a recording playing on your website that has words attached to it, you have those available through alternative text. It's available through the website code, or it's posted as a transcript somewhere on the website, on the same page too. That's important. All right, next is cognitive and technical issues. These are people who have processing disorders with the brain, or they might have neurological disorders where they can't move as well, or they might be completely immobile. Anything that involves the brain or being able to move and function. First things first is this is pages that flicker, flash, strobe. You want to make sure that you do not have any of these at all because people who usually have technical challenges who can't move or have neurological disorders, they typically will have issues with seizures. And anything that flickers, flashes, flobe can trigger a seizure in them. So the best way that you can avoid this is not having anything too flashy or in their face. I know sometimes we think that's a cool thing, but it can actually really harm some people. So make sure that you avoid anything that's going to be like flashy in front of someone. Next is alternative navigation. So this would be navigation aids for people with thinking disorders. Essentially, you can't rely on your users to know where to go. You have to provide navigation aids and essentially help direct them to where they need to go. Such as, you have a home button to take them to your home page, but you also need to say, click here to go to your home page, or on your web page, click here to go to whatever website. You need to make sure that you have navigation aids available and help direct people in different directions if they need to go to different pages. Next is audio support. Audio transcriptions for text to support users with dyslexia. Um, Usually, if they have audio, they can usually hear it, but if they can't hear it at the same time, um, the what this is saying essentially is if you have audio available, it's great. But if you have it just in text and written, you need to make sure you provide an audio transcription. If they have a screen reader, they can use that and it will read it to them. But you want to make sure that, again, if you have a screen, like if they do have a screen reader, you have provided the text fully transcribed or you have audio available for them. Users with dyslexia, um, when they are reading, the words become jumbled or the letters switch places or it kind of blurs together. Um, you want to make sure that you have audio available for those individuals so they can um, navigate your website easier. Next is low resolution alternatives. This is essentially saying that a user should not have a large screen resolution in order to view your web page. This is essentially saying because of the fact that sometimes people who cannot see as well need to have their screen larger. Your website should still be fine and still generate without having to make their screen too big. Okay, these are some things to keep in mind for people who have different disabilities and different cognitive issues and technical issues, hearing, and so on and so forth. All right, in summary, we must make web pages that are accessible to all users. If we do not, we lose a core audience of our website. Technology allows us to do so, so make sure you use it appropriately, and most accessibility methods are easy to implement. All right, so for today, you're going to work on Lab 1-3. The directions are posted in the Module 1, Day 7 folder, and also I posted the assignment in the Labs folder. This one's a bit of a unique lab because you're going to use a text-only web browser, which is going to be really interesting for you all, and I can't wait to hear some of your thoughts and feelings on it. So make sure you follow the directions and have a good time with this because this is a really interesting lab. All right, that's going to do it for me.